Hello everybody, welcome back to Tundra Missionary. I am Zach, and I am back with another video. And today I wanted to share my thoughts on Devin Townsend's Ocean Machine Biomech. So, this album was released in 1997, and it is 74 minutes long with 13 tracks, so it's indeed a very lengthy album with a lot of content to offer. So for those of you that don't know, Devin Townsend is primarily a progressive metal artist with an extensive solo career. He's released I don't even know, almost 20 studio albums within the past 2 decades. It's actually pretty ridiculous. And he's also well known for his extreme metal band, The Strapping Young Lad. Although they disbanded in 2006, 2007, somewhere around there, so that band is no longer active. But in my opinion, the bulk and quality of his work goes into his solo career. I definitely favor his solo career over Strapping Young Lad, although Strapping Young Lad is very good as well. But anyways, let's delve into this album and see what we got here. So, before we get into this album track by track, I wanted to explain Devin Townsend's playing style for a lot of his albums. He has this kind of wall of sound within his songs. Most of his songs are really heavy and noisy with a lot of distortion and just sounds going everywhere. It's almost like the song is being played in a giant stadium or football field, giving a lot of his songs a very epic, gigantic, grandiose kind of feel, and really immerses the listener, at least in my opinion. And the first track, Seventh Wave, is definitely a great example of this. It's almost a 7-minute track with a very heavy opener and a really catchy guitar riff followed with really catchy verses and choruses and operatic vocals from Devin Townsend. Which, by the way, as a side note, I gotta praise Devin Townsend's vocals. He can go from whispered vocals to very operatic vocals to yelling, screaming vocals, and tie them all into one song really well. So the second track is called Life, which is probably the most accessible track on the album, and definitely one of Devin's most accessible tracks throughout his entire discography. It's very catchy, very upbeat, and just a fantastic song overall. And what I would encourage for people who haven't listened to this album is at least listen to the first 2 tracks. And if you like the first 2 tracks, then I think you will 90% have a chance to like the rest of the album, because the first 2 tracks are a pretty good example of what's to come. And then we got the third and fourth tracks, which are Night and Hide Nowhere, which are both very heavy, upbeat tracks to kind of keep the album going without much of a breaking point at this point yet. And they're both very fantastic tracks, and I really enjoy them. And then we reach the 5th track, Sister, which is only a 2.5-minute track, which is kind of a nice little breather song. And this is when we start reaching the first atmospheric ambient moments of the album, which there are a lot of. And it has soft vocals from Devin Townsend, followed by acoustic guitar, with a lot of distortion and noises in the background, like thunder roaring and people talking. So it's a very kind of trippy kind of song. And then the 6th track, 3 a.m., which is another interlude kind of song, just under 2 minutes long, a kind of quiet piece to kind of keep this slow ambient portion of the album going. And then the 7th track, Voices in the Fan, it kind of picks up again, but not quite at the same heavy bass as the first 4 tracks did. It has a very heavy verse that's primarily Devin Townsend's screaming vocals, but then you've got, a clean, slower chorus. So, a very cool song overall. And then we have the 8th track, which is Greetings, which is just under 3 minutes long. And I've always wanted this song to be kind of longer because it's a pretty good song. I especially love the chorus, but there's only one chorus in the whole song. But it's like really epic and really showcases Devin Townsend's operatic vocals, and just a fantastic song. And then the ninth track, Regulator, is arguably probably the heaviest track on the album. It really showcases Devin Townsend's screams, and they're done really well on this track, and in a way that's not like overdone and ridiculous. And it's just 5 minutes of just heavy guitar riffs, and it's a fantastic song. And then once we reach this point in the album, the last 4 tracks of the album are primarily long slow burners. So for someone who's listening to this album for the first time, it might be a bit tedious to get through this section of the album, but I encourage the listener to listen through these tracks on repeated listens, and they will definitely be rewarding, because that's what happened to me. And it's actually like my favorite part of the album is these last 4 tracks. So we start with the 10th track, which is a Funeral, which is an 8-minute track, which is like a mixture of like hard rock and metal with like ambient, atmospheric, and some prog sprinkled in there, and it's a pretty fantastic track. And then the flow and transition from this song into the next track, Bastard, is definitely one of my favorite moments of the album, because Bastard is arguably the heaviest song on the track. I mean, Bastard and Regulator are pretty close. They're like neck and neck for being the heaviest on the album. I'm not really sure which I'd put higher, but for epicness, Bastard definitely will get a little bit higher, because it's like a 10-minute track, just jam-packed with guitar riffs and operatic screaming vocals from Devin Townsend. So definitely a really strong song and one of the high points of the album. But anyways, the flow and transition from Funeral to Bastard is done really well. Like, Funeral ends like a sort of dreamy, ambient, atmospheric finish, and then you hear the drums start to kick in as Bastard starts to play, and then the guitar riffs just blast in your face at one point, and then the song continues on. And it's a really, really well done transition. In fact, the entire album is really good with the flow and transition from song to song. Like, it'd feel out of place listening to some of these songs by themselves, where they sound a lot better in the order they are in the album. So, after Bastard, we reach the 12th track, which is the Death of Music, which is a just over 12-minute song, and it's definitely going to be the toughest song to listen through on the first time. But the vocals on this track are really fantastic, especially during the bridge. Really showcases Devin Townsend's operatic side of his voice, and definitely, I think, the most beautiful moment on the album. But there is a good chunk of the song that might feel like filler for the first couple listens, and maybe the song is a little bit long, but at this point, I've listened to it enough times that I wouldn't want to change it. I really enjoy it. So with repeated listens, I think it will definitely reward the listener. And then we have the 13th track and the final track, called Thing Beyond Things, which is a 4.5-minute breather closer track, if you will. And definitely a nice, quieter song to kind of finish off the album. Although there is a surprise ending to this song, but I will not spoil it for those who have not listened to it yet. So, there you have it. There's my thoughts on Devin Townsend's Ocean Machine Biomech. Yeah, I really wanted to share my thoughts on this album because I just really like Devin Townsend as an artist. He's one of my favorite within the progressive metal genre, and this album is just fantastic, and I really think more people should know about it. But I mean, if I imagine that a lot of people who are watching this video might already know what this album is, because you know it's the name of the video and all that. So, but anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you guys next time. Alrighty, guys, take care.